So your mama and daddy were Trump supporters.
That's
like,
right.
I'm just gonna start it off just right here.
Yeah.
And you begged them not to vote for him.
Yeah, I found out on election day that they were seriously going to go and vote for him, and it was devastating. Even before he won. And I thought maybe I could write it off because we're in New Jersey. So
So Jersey was going for Hillary.
It was going to be blue. I was like, your stupid votes don't matter. You guys are jerks, but fine. And then he won. And I just didn't even know how to think of them as good people anymore.
Your parents.
That's right.
So let's talk about that because I think a lot of people are suffering in this country around this same thing where they have relatives, people very close to them that they love, that they, admire, who cast a vote for a person. And it wasn't about politics because Trump was never a Republican. Mm-hmm. So people with R's, I'm a Republican ideals. This man has been a lifelong Democrat. His own children couldn't vote for him in New York because they were registered Democrats.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile with that?
Well, I think the thing with my parents is that they are tapped out and feel alienated. They don't understand that they play a role in casting this kind of vote. And I actually think I was under a similar spell of alienation before, too, because this book is about the political awakening that you have when you move from passively navigating this system to actively seeking to change it. So even though I cared about equality and social justice before November 9th, 2016, I didn't understand my voice. And I was doing that kind of thinking of New Jersey will go blue anyway, and my vote doesn't really matter. My individual voice doesn't really matter. And so I think that even while they, they're not like backwoods Nazis. They're not what I would have expected a Trump supporter to be. They're sort of the type of people who show up every 4 years and vote Republican, and I don't think even thought of their vote as really mattering. And there's a problem because that the way that I was raised is to understand that talking about politics is rude, and that if you have differing opinions, you might make someone uncomfortable, and that's uncouth. And it's ridiculous because we have to be able to have uncomfortable conversations. That's the stuff of democracy, is building consensus from debate.
In chapter 2, you write, at the core of my awakening moment was the realization that our democracy is, in fact, not a magical self-cleaning litter box. And you said it requires constant participation, which I think what you're talking about right now, people don't feel like they have the time to be constantly participating in our electoral process.
Yeah, I think that we have to think about it a little more creatively. So when I worked on my book, at first I was talking to all these exceptional young people who just totally changed their lives, right? And most people don't have the time to run for office and start a nonprofit. But I think that at a lower level, the average citizen has to say, what are the few civic actions, daily activities that I can put into my week and prioritize, just like I think about taking a shower, brushing my teeth, or maybe a face mask. Maybe it's a once a week type of thing. But you have to be doing something that is your participation in how we live together. I don't think it's acceptable that we can have people who are tapped out or don't care or say, I just don't like politics. Do you not like the weather? Because we're all affected by this. And I think we owe it to each other to be taking these daily civic actions. And you know what? It feels like it doesn't matter at the individual level. Like, one thing is that who has the time in the gig economy? We're all like working multiple jobs, barely afford healthcare. It is hard. I recognize that. And also that our voices are suppressed. Like the reality of moneyed interests in our political system makes it feel like, why am I going to bother? But for the same reason that we all need to be recycling, it's a build up into a collective impact, and that's what's missing.
And how young are you?
I'm 28.
28 years old. Okay. How do you relate to your parents now? You guys, you gonna do Thanksgiving? Obviously.
So we had a big estrangement period. It was very difficult. I actually had to kind of come back to them and say, we need to have conversations like I am talking to people as a journalist. And so
you treat your...
Yes,
okay.
because I'm not trying, I said to them, first of all, I'm not trying to lie to you as your daughter. I mean, I guess we're struggling with that. But this is what I do as a journalist. I am never trying to lie to you. I'm never trying to manipulate you. And I am often writing my opinion, but I'm making it clear when that's what I'm doing. And what we need to do, I think, is all talk to each other like journalists. And what I mean by that is be very verifying information, be acting like critical thinkers, and be honest with each other. And we need to be actively empowering each other with information. I think that there's so much fear and anger that comes from a level of ignorance. Nobody reasonably can be up to date on everything that's going on all the time. I mean, it's my job, and I'll feel like if it's been 2 hours, I'm nervous that I am not, haven't had the IV in long enough. So I basically said to my parents, let's talk about a media diet that we can follow. Let's look at individual articles and discuss them from there. And you know what? I believe you guys are good people, and I love you as my parents. I don't want you to think there's something you can do wrong, but there may be some things that we can talk about. And especially I'm an advocate. It's my goal to build equitable public power. So there are definitely times that I'm explaining the white supremacist capitalist patriarchy to my parents, and they're listening to me now.
Are they?
They're at least considering structural inequalities that I think have only recently fully surfaced into mainstream consciousness. I don't have them both at like the queer radical feminist level that my goal is, but we can at least talk.
That's the goal.